down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. With my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading on light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. With my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading on light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. With my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream.
Black in. All right, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your daily vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time Queen Goddess goes live. All right. Hello, we the people. Jay loves the Queen. All right, Claudette is in the virtual building. Pearly, Lillian X, we the people. Deronda. All right, let's get it popping. Okay, let's get it popping, everybody. Shout out to my moderators because y'all know they be putting in work. Okay, so Trisha, I see you, beloved. Pincy Lola. All right. Shout out to, I see you, Goodness Rated Bo. Shout out to all my loyal royals and everyone tuned into the Queen. Okay, so that all being said, everybody hit that like button, like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to double check and make sure you're still subscribed, especially if you have not been receiving your notifications. And if you missed the morning broadcast, please go back and watch that at your leisure. Okay, I also posted uploaded a short. Now, with that all being said, let's have a brief word from my sponsor before we get into it.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes Hair Oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts, and you can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, so first things first, let's go to this report about Zohran Mamdani. This is from 2 days ago, where he blocked an anti-Semitism security bill. Well, honey, I bet you a lot of people are mad at him right about now. Okay, it warns it could restrict uh, protests across New York. So he has blocked this bill. So let's go to this report from the Economic Times. Right, here we go. Let me put my overlay on here.
Mayor Zohran Mamdani used his first veto to block a controversial bill aimed at strengthening security around educational institutions. The legislation, known as International 175B, had bipartisan backing and was framed as part of a broader effort to combat rising anti-Semitism. It would have required law enforcement to develop safety plans to prevent obstruction, intimidation, and potential violence near schools and other educational spaces, while still protecting the right to protest.
From the civil rights movement in the 1960s to anti-war protests just this month, our city's history is written by those who refuse to stay silent. As mayor, I stand firmly on the side of New Yorkers' right to challenge power. Yes, even mine. Last month, the City Council passed 2 bills related to this right, known as buffer zone bills. Today, I am letting one of them go into effect and vetoing the other. Here's why. The first bill is Intro 1B, which applies to houses of worship. I understand this issue is deeply significant to many New Yorkers. The right to worship is as sacred as the right to protest. New Yorkers deserve the ability to gather with fellow congregants, listen to scripture, and pray freely. The original version of the bill raised constitutional concerns. However, the final version of it as passed is narrower in scope and effect. It requires the NYPD to write down its existing practices related to protests near houses of worship. That is why I will allow this legislation to go into effect, although I disagree with its framing of all protest as a security concern. The second, Intro 175B, which applies to educational institutions, is meaningfully different. The problem is how widely this bill defines an educational institution and the constitutional concerns it raises regarding New Yorkers' fundamental right to protest. As the bill is written, everywhere from universities to museums to teaching hospitals could face restrictions. Say you're a worker protesting ICE, or a college student demanding your school divest from fossil fuels, or demonstrating in support of Palestinian rights. Intro 175B is not a narrow public safety measure. It is a piece of legislation that has alarmed much of the labor movement, reproductive rights groups, and immigration advocates, amongst others, across the city. Nearly a dozen unions have raised the alarm about its impact on their ability to organize. That is why I am vetoing this legislation.
Okay, good enough for me. Good enough for me, as he should, okay? As he should. Listen, no group is so important that they should be allowed to infringe upon other people's constitutional rights. That's just what it is, okay? He's doing the right thing. Now, nobody should be going around here saying things that are racist, hateful, anti-Semitic, or any of that anyway. But if you're criticizing their government or you're talking about voicing your opinion, you're not making threats or any of those things, none of that should even be included in the definition. Okay, period. Now, with that all being said, because anybody should be able to say what they want to say about anyone as long as they're not saying anything dangerous, or stoking violence or anything like that. Okay? And they should be also likewise able to speak up for whom they choose. Nobody's going to tell me who I can or cannot side with, who I can or cannot speak up for, period. Nor should they be able to tell any of us. That's how it goes. Now, with that all being said, shout out to Mamdani for that, okay? Because any type of bill that goes against other people's rights, constitutional rights, should be prohibited. Nobody should get more rights than anybody else. It should be fairly and equally distributed, period. That's how it goes. But hold on, listen to this, because I thought this was real interesting, because now they have something called the Mamdani Act. Yeah, it's an acronym. How many of you heard about this? Because y'all know how they be trying to keep stuff under a wrap. When they think we're looking over here, then they put it over there. Okay, so you have to be paying attention and keep your head on the swivel, or they'll pass these things. You won't even know anything about it until it's too late. So listen to this. The Measures Against Marxism's Dangerous Adherence and Noxious Islamist Act, better known by its abbreviated form, the Mamdani Act. Isn't that something? They did that. It's a bill in the United States House of Representatives proposed in 2026 by Representative Chip Roy. I almost said Chips Ahoy. Chip Roy, okay? The act would amend the Immigration and Nationality Act to allow for the denial of entry, deportation, denial of citizenship, or denaturalization of any immigrant who advocates socialism, communism, Chinese communism, or Islamic fundamentalism, or who is or was a member, not even if you are, but even if you used to be 20 years ago, because it says or was a member of a party other than or other organization advocating those beliefs. The act is named after Zohran Mamdani, current mayor of New York City, who is a naturalized U.S. citizen and democratic socialist. So they're talking about people like him. Okay, advocates for socialism. Well, wouldn't that include Bernie Sanders? Okay, because I know Bernie Sanders isn't from here either, but I bet you they're not even talking about him, and y'all know why, because he's one of BB's people. Okay, please pay attention. Just thought I'd bring that up. Okay, very interesting bit of legislation there. Now, that being said, let's go a little bit more into it, because I think Chip Roy is so proud of himself for what he's done. Let's just pull this up. There it is, as you can see. Okay, the Mamdani Act enacts sweeping immigration law changes that would deport, denaturalize, deny U.S. citizenship or entry to any alien who is a member of a socialist party, and you all know the rest that I already said. Additionally, this legislation creates new definitions for each of these terms. So I'm quite sure it's the definitions that suit their narrative. Okay, please pay attention. All right. They've created new definitions for each of these terms and repeals existing loopholes to make sure you can't get in no matter how you slice it, including chain migration and fraudulent claims in current immigration law that have facilitated the mass importation of Marxists and Islamists. They say, why do we continue to import people who hate us? Not just for the last 6 years, but for the last 60 years. Our immigration system has been cynically used to disadvantage American workers' competitiveness in favor of mass importing the third world. This has not just led to higher crime and lower wages, but also to the promulgation of hostile ideologies fundamentally opposed to American values. America has no values. If they did, Donald Trump would have never been able to be the president the first time, let alone the second. That's what he wouldn't have been allowed to do. And these people that follow him, his cult members, MAGA, would not be trying to silence people from exposing the Epstein files. All right, they were the main ones. Okay, they were the main ones when they thought it was just the Democrats doing BS. They were all for drain the swamp. Now silence. Now they want people to shut up. Now they're telling people who are speaking out, victims no less. Okay, they're telling these people to be quiet. Yeah, that's what they're doing. So did they ever care in the first place? Well, of course they did, because many of them are the same type of people. I've been posting it all over my X account on a regular basis. All of these MAGA minions caught up in PDF file charges. Many of them. If you missed it, go check it out. Okay, there's hundreds, I'm sure. Now, that all being said, by targeting the Red-Green Alliance, this legislation deploys new tools to fight back against the Marxist and Islamist advance that has devastated Europe and has now arrived on our doorstep, especially in my home state of Texas. Okay, says Congressman Roy. Admission to the United States is a privilege, not a right. Well, I wish the natives had told them that when they showed up. Okay, please pay attention. On the Mayflower, I wish they told that to Columbus when he arrived here in 1492. But I digress. Admission to the United States is a privilege, not a right. We have absolutely no obligation to open our doors to aliens who seek to undermine the Constitution. Wow, really? Because they undermine their own constitution on a daily basis. Okay? Dismantle our republic or champion ideologies fundamentally opposed to American liberties. A sovereign nation must prioritize its own survival and the safety of its citizens above all else. Yeah, the same country that bombed their own citizens and lynched many, okay, thousands. Same country who dropped nuclear bombs, shall we? Anyway, IAP is proud to stand with Congressman Roy in this effort. Oh, I bet you are. Okay, I bet you are. Y'all heard it. It's all nefarious. Okay, I know they're going to give Mamdani hell. All right, especially after he just blocked that bill. That's right. Trish said they can't accuse anyone of being hateful. Exactly. I mean, okay, please. Absolutely not. Well, they can, but it's not going to fly unless somebody's stupid. Okay, so anyway, I find it all interesting. Now, with that all being said, let's talk about these scientists. Oh, and it looks like the Trump administration's mad at Jimmy Kimmel again for a joke that he said, nonetheless. Okay, so where shall we start? Let's go right here. Hold on, let me show you all this. You all remember how we've been showing all the footage and all the screenshots all over the internet about the people at the White House Correspondents' Dinner during the melee? Y'all, look at this. Now, this is one I hadn't seen. This is one I had not seen until just a few hours ago. Okay, let's get to. Oh, and let me just make a correction. Okay, so apparently they have some AI stuff going around here. Y'all know this AI is getting harder and harder to recognize. So let me just say that now they're saying that it was a picture, the picture of the shooter, Cole Thomas Allen, where he's wearing the IDF t-shirt. They said that's fake because there's another shirt with him wearing a shirt that says Pakistan. And so that was obviously fake. You can tell that was fake, in my opinion. But the other one, you really couldn't tell. At least I couldn't. So they're saying if that one's fake, that one's probably fake too. So they're both likely fake. And also, as it pertains to him being in that competition with Usha Vance, they said that's not Usha Vance. Okay, that's another false story out there. So I just wanted to clarify that up because, hey, I'm not trying to sit up here and give fake news. Okay, that man, they can trick the queen. They can even fool me sometimes. Okay, I'm telling y'all, I try to pick out the AI and the BS and all of that, but sometimes it slides through. So I'm gonna always come back and correct myself because I don't do fake news. Okay, I don't do fake news. That just lets me know that I'm gonna have to pay a whole lot more attention. Okay, so we don't have these little hiccups because I don't got time for it. All right. So anyway. So that wasn't Usha Vance. In fact, they said that Usha Vance in June of 2017, when that was made, I think that was made in that video was March of 2017. Usha Vance would have been showing during her pregnancy because she gave birth supposedly June of 2017. Now, I did verify that. So with that all been said, that is not Usha Vance. But the questions still remain. Okay, a whole lot of sketchy stuff going on otherwise, including this picture, this video. And hey, I'm just going to go ahead and say for the record, I don't even know if this is AI or not. This is just what they're reporting. Okay, I saw this. Tyrese posted it. It says a gunshot erupts at Trump's dinner. One man continues to enjoy dinner while people hide under tables. I'm inclined to think this is AI. I'm inclined to think this is AI and somebody's trying to be funny. I think somebody's trying to be sarcastic because that's basically what some people look like they want to do. Please. What is he eating there? A chicken nugget? Look at it. It's got to be AI. Somebody say it is, okay? Whether it is or not, it's funny. I'm absolutely so done. Now, with that all being said, let's talk about these scientists. Okay, now earlier I reported to you that scientists are also coming up dead in China. Okay, and I think it was since 2023. So now they say, are the missing scientists and the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooter connected? Well, I'm not sure if they're connected, but they did say he had some affiliations with NASA. So Anthony said they so ghetto. Exactly, beloved. I agree.
or conspiracy, whatever you want to call it, about the scientists that have disappeared or died recently has only grown since I dropped a video about it on April 21st, 2026. It's been 4 days. In those 4 days, someone tried to shoot up the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and that shooter went to the same school that runs NASA's most classified research lab. But that's not even the wildest part of this week, and let me walk you through everything that's happened since I dropped that first video. April 25th, 2026, the White House Correspondents' Dinner. It's the one night a year where the president, the entire cabinet, the vice president, and the top journalists in America are all in the same room. Trump was there for the first time as the sitting president. J.D. Vance was there, Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, RFK Jr., Speaker Mike Johnson, every major figure in the current administration in one building. And a 31-year-old man from Torrance, California named Cole Thomas Allen walked in armed with a shotgun, a handgun, and multiple knives, sprinted through security, and opened fire. One Secret Service agent was hit in the vest, and he lived. Trump was rushed off the stage. Vance was evacuated. The entire cabinet was pulled from the room. CNN anchor Wolf Blitzer said he was just a few feet away when the shots were fired. Wolf Blitzer watched this man fire what he described as a, quote, very serious weapon at least 6 times before being tackled. Now, Trump is safe. Everyone is safe. Allen is in custody. He's been charged.
Let's pause right there for a second. He said, Wolf Blitzer allegedly said, according to him, that he watched this man fire that gun at least 6 or 7 times before being tackled. That's a slow response. That is a slow response given all of those officers, federal agents who were there. He got that many rounds off before he was tackled, not to mention dashing through. Not to mention they say he ran down 10 whole flights of stairs and he wasn't out of breath. Let's keep listening. Now, I'm not saying that isn't what Wolf Blitzer saw. I believe that is what he saw. But at the end of the day, I think it was all part of a ruse. But let's continue.
With using a firearm during a crime of violence and assault on a federal officer. The U.S. Attorney for D.C., Jeanine Pirro, said terrorism charges, well, they're still on the table. 2 sources told CBS News that Allen told law enforcement he specifically wanted to shoot Trump administration officials. Now, here's where y'all started blowing up my comments. Cole Allen graduated from the California Institute of Technology, Caltech, in 2017 with a degree in mechanical engineering. He
Now, didn't I show you all this video before? I think I showed you all this video before, so I'm going to go ahead to the next one. But here's the thing. So in a crowded building, because, you know, the entrance would have been likely crowded with security, right? And others going to and fro possibly. So you mean letting off 6 or 7 rounds and you didn't hit anybody? Now, they say that he hit a Secret Service agent who was conveniently wearing a vest. Were those even real bullets or were they blanks? I have so many questions. But nonetheless, firing off that many rounds and you don't hit anybody? I mean, all of these people who seem to try to shoot Trump don't know what they're doing. They don't have good aim or whatever. Don't you find that interesting? Whereas the person who supposedly took out Charlie Kirk had a sniper's aim, even though he was untrained. Y'all see how that works? Is anybody catching this stuff? So let me get it straight. The 3 people who have fired at Trump were all bad shots. Now, I'm pretty sure from looking at the people who all fired at Trump, they all likely have shot a gun more than once, but they had no skill in aim. But Tyler Robinson, who was not trained, according to reports, fired from so far. How many feet was it away? About 200? However, the distance, fired and hit Charlie Kirk and took him up out of here. Okay, let's continue.
reportedly interned at NASA in 2014 while still a student there. Now, I need you to remember something from my last video. Carl Grillmeyer, the astrophysicist who was shot on his front porch in February, he worked at Caltech. Frank Mywald, the JPL principal investigator who died with no cause of death and no autopsy, JPL is managed by Caltech. Michael Hicks, the NASA scientist who died in 2023 with no public cause of death, also JPL. Monica Reza, the aerospace engineer who vanished hiking in Los Angeles, director of JPL's materials processing group, also Caltech managed. Cole Allen went to the same institution that directly oversees the lab where 4 of the 11 scientists worked. Now, I want to be very clear. Law enforcement has found no connection between Allen and the scientists.
Now, do y'all hear this? Are you all listening to what he's saying? Not only did he have ties, does he have ties to NASA, but are you all hearing exactly what this man is saying? Okay, please pay attention.
investigation. DC Mayor Bowser confirmed Allen acted alone. His apparent motive was political. He had donated to Kamala Harris's campaign for whatever that means. And sources say he wanted to target the Trump administration. There is no confirmed link at this time. But in a story that's this dense, you do not get to ignore a Caltech-educated NASA interning shooter showing up the same week the FBI is investigating Caltech-connected scientists. You just don't. 4 days before I even posted my first video, on April 17th, an entire family was wiped out in a plane crash in South Carolina, and almost nobody covered it. I completely missed it. James Tony Moffitt, 60 years old, Army veteran, experimental test pilot, aerospace engineer. After a 21-year military career, he became a payload and flight crew specialist at NASA's Johnson Space Center and worked on 14 Space Shuttle ISS construction missions. 14. He later founded his very own aerospace defense consulting firm, Moffitt Systems Incorporated, working on next-generation unmanned aircraft systems and Army defense programs. He was flying his family home from North Carolina. His wife, Lisa, 61, his son, Andrew, 30, also a research engineer at the University of Alabama's Research Center, his son, William, 28, a cybersecurity specialist. Their plane went down in a wooded area near Union County Airport in South Carolina. All four were pronounced dead. The NTSB and FAA are still investigating. No cause of the crash has been released as of yet. No foul play has been established at all. But here's the thing. This man spent his entire career in exactly the same world as the 11 scientists in my first video, NASA Defense Research, aerospace classified programs, and an entire line of that family gone in one afternoon. In the same week, Congress was sending urgent letters to the FBI about scientists dying. The mainstream press covered it briefly, then moved on. I am not moving on. And here's something that will genuinely give you chills. It did to me. The day before I posted my first video, April 20th, David Wilcox went live on YouTube and warned his 500,000 subscribers that scientists were disappearing. And it was scary. Hours later, he was dead. I had no idea when I posted that video, and neither did most of you watching it. So who was David Wilcock? He was a UFO researcher, a controversial one, of course, I'll be honest with you. He was not a mainstream scientist. He appeared on Ancient Aliens. He wrote books about extraterrestrials and consciousness. You can agree or disagree with his work, but he was a New York Times best-selling author with a real platform and a real audience. On April 18th, 2 days before his death, Wilcock went live on YouTube for 3.5 hours. He spent much of it talking about the exact story I covered in my video. Scientists disappearing, researchers dying, government investigations launching, and in that live stream, he said these words, and I quote, "I'm excited to be here. Every day that I have on Earth is a gift and a blessing, and I'm very grateful for that, because frankly, people are disappearing. Scientists are going missing, and it's a little bit scary." Unquote. The night before he died, he posted on X, "My dear family, I am not yet sure if I am doing a show tomorrow. I've had some very intense stuff going on this weekend. I want you all to know how much I love and appreciate you." On April 20th, Wilcock called 911 himself. Boulder County deputies responded to his home near Nederland, Colorado, for a reported mental health crisis. When they arrived, they found him outside holding a weapon. He used it on himself. He was pronounced dead at the scene. His family released a statement confirming he died by suicide after, quote, "a long struggle with depression and overwhelming financial debt." They stated explicitly there was no foul play. His family asked people to...
First of all, how can his family state explicitly there's no foul play? Are they the police? They're going by what they think. Okay, and sometimes what we think isn't always accurate and correct. Now, it very well could have been that he did this to himself, unprovoked, without, anyone trying to program him to do it or whatever. But they don't know that expressly. Okay, there's no way they could possibly know that, as far as I'm concerned.
Stop the conspiracy theories. But here's what the internet will not let go of. In 2022, Wilcock posted on X, "I plan on living, not suicidal at all, just concerned about what happens when you prove God is real." That post is now going viral. It's been viewed millions of times. I'm not here to tell you what happened to David Wilcock. I believe his family, I believe depression that he had was real, financial devastation was real, and I would encourage anyone who is struggling to reach out to the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's available 24 hours a day. But I'm a history channel, and historically speaking, when a man publicly says scientists are disappearing and it's scary, and then dies 2 days later, you document it. That's all I'm doing. While all of this was happening, new details about the original 11 cases were quietly coming out, and some of them completely reframed the story. Monica Reza, the JPL aerospace engineer who vanished hiking, she hadn't just worked at JPL. She had patented a nickel superalloy used in both space travel and military weaponry. That patent went directly into SpaceX's Starship and Blue Origin's New Glenn reusable rocket programs. She wasn't just a scientist. She was an inventor whose work is inside the most advanced rockets on Earth right now. Stephen
That's exactly what I told you all this morning. And Reggie says, you heard about that flight. Of course you heard about it, Reggie, because I reported that last week. Now, some of the things he's saying, I've already told you all that. But what I thought was interesting was his breakdown, and he went further into detail about some of these scientists. Okay, please pay attention.
Garcia, the nuclear contractor who disappeared in Albuquerque, he was last seen on surveillance footage walking away on foot, carrying a handgun. That detail was barely reported. And here's why it matters. General McCastlin, who also disappeared in Albuquerque, also left on foot, carrying a .38 caliber revolver. 2 people with nuclear clearances, same city, both walking away armed, both gone. 4 of the 11 cases are in California, 4 in New Mexico, 2 in Massachusetts. The FBI is now specifically examining that geographic clustering,
And then at least 2 of them in Huntsville, Alabama. Joshua LeBlanc and Amy Eskridge. Okay, both in Huntsville. But let's continue.
especially the New Mexico concentration around Los Alamos and Albuquerque. And here's the detail that reframes the entire financial stakes of the story. Blue Origin unveiled a planetary defense weapons concept in March 2026, built in direct partnership with JPL and Caltech, the same institutions connected to our missing scientists. That program shares core technology with missile defense systems. Space Force awarded SpaceX nearly $6 billion and Blue Origin over $2 billion in national security contracts in April of 2025. The scientists who are dead and missing helped build the foundational technology now worth billions in classified government contracts. Someone or something is benefiting from their absence. So here's where we are today, April 26, 2026. The House Oversight Committee gave the FBI, the Department of Energy, the Pentagon, and NASA a hard deadline. Staff level briefings are tomorrow, April 27th. The government has to respond to Congress tomorrow about what they know or explain why they won't answer. House Oversight Chairman James Comer said this week, quote, "There is a high possibility that something sinister is taking place here. These were the leaders in research helping ensure that we stay the leader in nuclear technology. Every country wants to have our type of nuclear knowledge," unquote. The FBI says it's spearheading the investigation. NASA says it's coordinating with relevant agencies. The White House says they'll know something in a week and a half, roughly. Energy Secretary Chris Wright says they haven't found anything alarming as of yet. Tomorrow, we will find out if Congress gets answers or if the doors stay closed. Now, let me recap what has happened in the 4 days since I posted part 1. The day I posted, the internet was already reacting to a UFO researcher who had just died after warning about this exact story. 3 days later, a NASA family of 4 was buried with no cause of crash released. 4 days after my video, a Caltech-educated NASA interning engineer tried to shoot up the White House Correspondents' Dinner while the FBI was actively investigating Caltech-connected scientists. And new details revealed that 2 nuclear insiders vanished from the same city, both on foot, both of them armed, and that the dead and missing scientists helped build technology worth $9 billion in classified government contracts. 4 days. I'll be back the moment Congress gets its answers tomorrow, hopefully. Make sure you're following, because based on how the last 4 days have gone, part 3, well, it's already writing itself. Drop it in the comments.
I want y'all to pay attention, honey, because he wants all of his credit, honey. He is just like the queen. Okay, he's just like the queen. I be wanting my credit too. I be like, y'all heard it here first. But he kept saying 4 days after my video. And then this happened 3 days after my video. And then this happened right after my video. Y'all give that man his credit, honey, whatever you do. Okay, Untold Stories of History. That's his name. That's his name of his account. Now, with that having said, he did give some good research. I appreciate that. What I find interesting, Lillian X said, so nefarious. Anonymous Boy said, thanks for the receipts, Queen. Oh, you're welcome, beloved. You're welcome. D-Mage said, he's your spirit animal, Queen. Okay. Honey, I want all my credit. Now, that all being said, now listen, I find it very interesting, right? Because he said somebody else is making money off of them. Isn't that what I told y'all this morning when I talked about Reza? Okay, the lady Reza who came up with that invention that they're now using for the rockets and all of that or whatever, and she patented that. I said, now that she's gone, who's going to be getting the proceeds from that? Did she leave a will? Will the money go to her family or to NASA or who? I have several questions. Okay, I have several questions. So it looks like me and him are on the same lines of thinking. Okay, but hold on. Let's go to this next video. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Good fucking morning. And it's time to do our deep dive of the 15 scientists that have apparently gone missing in the United States. Let's do it. Before I get started, this video is for entertainment purposes only. Don't believe shit that I say. I'm lying. Let's start off with him. 68-year-old retired U.S. Air Force Major General missing from New Mexico. Family asked for prayers and community support. If you don't know who this is Major General William Neal McCastlin. He is a USAF retired. We're going to name him the man who knew where the bodies were buried, literally. McCastlin was the former commander of the Air Force Research Lab. He went missing in February 2026 while hiking in the Sandia Mountains in New Mexico. Majority of these people go missing when they're hiking. I don't know what that's about, but
I'm going to tell you what that's about. People going missing when they go hiking. We'll talk about that later this week when I do an episode on unsolved mysteries. But let's continue.
He's crucially important. He was a high-level figure in the UFO community in aerospace, and his disappearance is the inception point of the 2026 federal probe. This was the general that oversaw the most classified labs in the world. He vanished in the same mountains where the ancient computer grid was rumored to be. Now, when we talk about the ancient computer, we're talking about the anti-chiaric system, which is basically an ancient computer that was made up of bronze. And I made a whole video about it, but I never posted yet. But we're going to go into deep on why the ancient power grid is important, because it's the key to free energy. Now, my question is, was he going to a meeting, or was he being taken out the 12th matrix? We search up about McCastlin. He's an astronomical engineer and a former Air Force Research Laboratory commander who went missing in Albuquerque, New Mexico home in February 27, 2026. He was last seen at 10 a.m., leaving behind his phone, his glasses, prompting a large-scale search by local authorities and FBI. He was a highly decorated Major General, serving as an astronomical engineer and retiring in 2013. He served as the commander of the Air Force Research Laboratory at the Wright Passage Air Force Base, a key nub for aerospace technology and intelligence. Post-retirement, at this time his disappearance, he was working a director at technology at Andalil Technology Associates, I believe. I want to specifically go back and talk about why he's important. He was in New Mexico. New Mexico is the epicenter for like all types of political drama, all types of leaders. All the world's secret lie in New Mexico specifically. Connections that I found is I went back into the Epstein files, and I saw this place of Epstein Zorro Ranch. Epstein Zorro Ranch and the Scientology Tremanta base are less than 90 miles apart. They all are in the same area. Why? William Neal McCastlin, who disappeared in April 2026, was the commander of the Air Force Research Lab in that exact region. He held the keys to the black budget aerospace programs that other 14 scientists were unknowingly supporting with their research. So you might wonder why they would take him out. The 13 families, and we'll go into a deep dive about that, they play a big role in this. We got to understand, we're at the end of the age of Aquarius. This is not a spiritual this isn't just a spiritual concept anymore. It's a physical one. They increased the Earth's frequency and they deleted the 15 individuals because they reached a critical mass of knowledge that they knew how all of this worked. They realized how to end all of this, and they had to take them out fast before the public knew. If all of these 15 scientists who started to wake up, and all of their work would have merged, we would have had unlimited power, which is Lurierio's fusion. We would have had infinite travel, which is Eskridge's anti-gravity, and we would have had the actual true history of our people, which is Maldwin's subsurface frequency scanning. This is part one.
Okay, so in part two, he said he talks about Amy Eskridge. Now, I did talk about her as well. But I want you all to pay attention. That young man gives very good information. You can tell he does his research, and I'd like to see young people online giving important information and showing that they've done the research. They're not out here gang banging. They're not out here acting like whole thugs and hoodlums and people having to ask who raised you or any of that. Okay, shout out to him and all the young people. Okay, with that all being said, who are doing the right thing. But with that all being said, I want to just make one correction. He said the ancient power grid. Well, it isn't actually a power grid. Okay, it's more of a what do I want to say? It's more of a well, it's not a power grid. Okay, it's like a network of systems. So it was basically something that historians or archaeologists actually recognized as a system in the way we think about modern electrical grids. Okay, that's the way we look at it, but that's not really what it was. Okay, so civilizations like ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, the Indus Valley civilization, they built these very impressive infrastructure, water systems, as well as roads and city layouts. Okay, they were merely early examples of large-scale coordinated systems. Okay, that would be a better way to describe them. Okay, large-scale coordinated systems that supported daily life. All right, they had this artifact, clay jars with metal components found near Baghdad that led to speculation that the ancient people understood basic electricity, which they likely did. Now, some people think that it may have been used for electroplating. Okay, but even if that's true, it's a far cry from an actual grid. Okay, most experts, in fact, think that it had more of a mundane purpose. All right, so, and then here's the thing. Some people even say that places like Stonehenge or the pyramids of Giza were part of an energy network. Okay, now, but with that all being said, let's continue. So think about what he said. He said we would have known the truth about who we are. People would have had free energy and all of that. Okay, Gwendolyn said, thank you, Queen. You're welcome, beloved. So people would have had free energy. Okay, and who's that going to affect? Who's that going to affect if we have free energy? Well, the billionaires who are making all this money. I mean, we wouldn't even have needed oil. Think about that, because a lot of these wars are based off of these natural resources, specifically oil. Okay?
34-year-old scientist was working on the technology that could produce unlimited free energy and make every single electric bill on Earth disappear. And she is now officially one of the 11 scientists that are connected to classified programs who have gone missing.
There's multiple parties looking at each other like, didn't we tell this 3 years ago that we kill people for this? Is she not listening? What is she doing? She's still doing it? What? We told her we were going to kill her 3 years ago.
Her name was Amy Eskridge, and she was working on something called zero-point gravity, which is basically the idea of pulling energy out of nothing. Literally no fuel, no waste, no loss at all, just unlimited power that would never run out. If it works, obviously every single oil company, every single energy company, and every single electric bill on Earth would have become completely irrelevant because we would have power for free. She texted a friend and she said, if you see any report that I did this to myself, I most definitely did not. Her cause was then officially ruled as self-inflicted. She was 34 years old and she literally predicted what they would say, and she is one of 11 people. And on Kalshi right now, millions of dollars are riding on energy prices going even higher than they already are, and obviously the person that was trying to make it all free is now gone. I am absolutely staying on this story because it is absolutely insane, so make sure you add me now because I will obviously keep you updated. A 34-year-old scientist was working on the technology that could produce unlimited...
I just think about that. Unlimited free energy. Okay, these billionaires aren't trying to hear that. These billionaires were not trying to hear any of it. Okay? That's right. Rachel said Nikola Tesla. Absolutely. Okay, so now with that all been said, I find it all interesting. At the end of the day, these people are dead, in my opinion. Now hearing all this other evidence are likely due to money that rich people don't want to lose. Okay, that makes more sense because these devils, all they care about is blood and revenue. I've been telling you all that for years, and I absolutely believe that's the gist of it. Okay, hopefully somebody will get to the bottom of it, but not likely. Okay, not likely. Now let's go to this whole thing about Jimmy Kimmel because they're mad at him again. Here you have Caroline Levitt 4 hours ago. I think this came out, or some hours ago, where she's going in on Jimmy Kimmel about something he said after the shooting or whatever. Girl, he's a comedian. Take a joke, why don't you?
United States
You're so
pointed
busy
out
trying to stifle free speech.
example, as the First Lady of the United States pointed out this morning, just 2 days prior to the shooting, ABC's late night host Jimmy Kimmel disgustingly called First Lady Melania Trump an expectant widow. Who in their right minds says a wife would be glowing over the potential murder of her beloved husband? And having experienced what I did with the First Lady on Saturday night, I can tell you that she was anything but that. This kind of rhetoric about the president, the first lady, and his supporters is completely deranged, and it's unbelievable that the American people are consuming it night after night after night. As President Trump said on Saturday night at this podium, we as Americans must recommit ourselves to resolving our differences peacefully and uniting around the shared values that make our country great. Example.
First of all, I don't share any damn values with Donald Trump, so miss me with it, Caroline Levitt. Do y'all hear this? Shared values? Honey, I'm sorry, we are not the same. I worship the Most High God, okay? And that's who I worship. The one that sent his son, Yahshua, whom y'all call Jesus. Yeah, that's him. Okay, please, I don't worship Baal. I don't worship Baphomets. Okay, any of that foolishness, Mola. No. Okay, so please don't talk about shared values. Girl, you sound crazy, okay? You sound crazy talking about shared values. Share with who? Honey, their type of Christianity is not for the real Christians, okay? I'm sorry. The ones that want to, teach about love and empathy and all of that, okay? I'm sorry. Any type of Christianity that promotes violence, killing, murdering, begging Jesus and God to give you the power to strike down vengeance and kill people and show no mercy. But I thought God was a merciful God. So if God's merciful, why would he want us to not be? So sit down somewhere, honey, please. Don't ever fix your mouth to say shared values. Honey, I'm sorry. But the fact of the matter is Trump and his minions don't have any values. If they did, he wouldn't be in the White House. And that's just facts. Okay, doing all that grifting. Okay, allegedly. And speaking of grifting, let's get into it. Okay. A shout out to the Messy Channel TV for sending me this morning. I meant to show you all earlier. Talking about shared values. Girl, shared with who? I absolutely cannot. We are not the same, okay? Hold on, can you all hear this? Because I can't hear it for some reason. Can you all hear this? Hold on, let me check something real quick. Okay, I don't know why we can't hear it. Hold on. I don't know why I can't hear it and why we can't hear it. Now, I heard it earlier. What she was talking about. What I don't know why it's not the audio's not playing, beloved. Sorry about that, but it was playing earlier because I listened to it. What she was talking about was the money that Trump's sons are making off of this war. Hold on. Yeah, it's still not playing. Hold on, let me see if I can refresh it. Okay, here it is. Now it's playing for some reason. I don't know what's going on. Okay, here we go. She said this is for Eric Trump,
who got a $24 million no-bid contract with the DOJ, the Pentagon, for his startup. Another congratulations to his brother, Don Jr., who got a $620 million Pentagon no-bid contract from the DOJ for his startup. Let's wish them congratulations, everyone. Fox News did. Congratulations to Eric Trump, who got a $24 million no-bid.
Okay, they're out here balling out of control. Out here balling out of control. And she said Fox News congratulated them. I bet they did. I find it all so nefarious. Okay, absolutely crazy. They're clearly grifting, all right, and probably a whole lot of other things that I've heard tell. I haven't been able to substantiate this as of yet, but I'm hearing that they're supposedly going to be prosecuted as soon as a Democrat gets in charge, but I doubt it because all Trump's going to do is pardon them, okay, before that can happen, just like Biden did, all right, with his son Hunter and other people. So that he knew Trump would come after. So that's just what that's going to be. Anyway, on to the next story. Let's talk about it because there was a student who went in on an IDF soldier who came to a college to speak. Now, here's what I find disgusting with heard and seen of these IDF nefarious soldiers. Who's going to let them come to a college campus? I don't care who requested it. Okay, please pay attention. So they had the IDF soldier come to a college to speak, and this brave student stood up and told him what it was all about. And I didn't hear any lies. Okay, I didn't hear not one lie. Let's get into it.
Has killed over 70,000 Palestinians. The IDF has killed over 300 journalists. The IDF has targeted children. The IDF has killed over 1,700 healthcare workers. The IDF has targeted children. I knew a job, 6-year-old, was shot 335 times. 335 times. When my grandmother, my Jewish grandmother, told me about the Holocaust, she told me never again. This is not never again. Never again means never again for everybody. And if justice is real, then the IDF will go down. You guys will be prosecuted at the Hall. You guys will go down. Justice will prevail.
Shout out to that brave young man for speaking truth to power. Shout out to that brave young man at the end of the day. And see, this is what I say. This is why I say you cannot ever go against all of the youths, because there are some that are just like him. At the end of the day, the ones with the same mindset, people like Satan Yahoo, people who think like Satan Yahoo, well, that's problematic in my opinion. Satan Yahoo is the problem. I think Satan Yahoo is the issue because Satan Yahoo has all of this unchecked power, as we can see. He's very influential. And I'm sure that young man right there, by him, would be viewed as a self-hating youth. Okay, because that's what I heard they call people like him. But shout out to people like him for being truthful, honest, and showing empathy and sympathy, all traits that the real God, the Most High, wants us to have. Okay? The things that Jesus came here to teach us all about. And yes, Jesus is real. All right? And he's more powerful than Genghis Khan, Satan Yahoo. Okay. D Major said, did you hear an IDF soldier destroyed it? Yes, I reported on that, honey. What are you talking about? I reported on that last week. Okay. Keep up, beloved. Keep up. All right. But thank you. Thank you for your question and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Maybe you were taking a nap while I was talking about that last week, beloved. Maybe you missed that broadcast. Okay, maybe you were somewhere in the bushes, no less. Yeah, but I did cover that last week, beloved. I sure did. I didn't miss it. Now, with that all being said, let's continue because I want to get into this update about David, the singer, before we roll out. That's going to be last. But right now, let's talk about what's going to become of MAGA, the cult followers. Okay, let's talk about them. Because I find it all very interesting. You see, right now, Trump has them all drinking the Kool-Aid, okay? Many of them, the ones that are still falling for the BS. No, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Before we get into that, there's something else I need to talk about. Remember the Mexican police officer who called us chimps and all the other nefarious things that she said about us? Hold on. Y'all know who I'm talking about, right? There's a video someone did addressing her and people with that same mindset. Here it is right here. She gave a message to the Mexicans and the Latinas. Latinas for Trump. I will vote for Donald Trump. Yeah, those. She gave a message to them, so let's get into it. I want y'all to hear what this lady has to say. And this is a Caucasian woman, and I think she would know better than we how they really feel about Mexicans and Latinos. Okay, so let's get into it. Like up, everyone, please like and share. If you don't like what I'm putting out, why are you here? I have questions.
The other one bites the dust. How many videos am I going to have to make to tell you if you don't look like me, but you think because you're not black, it's not going to happen to you? It's going to happen to you. And the irony is your proximity to whiteness is never going to save you. And the call is always going to come from inside the house. Let's not forget that just a week and a half ago, they found a 19-year-old Latino boy hanging outside of a police department in Washington, D.C. We will never like you. We will never accept you. We will use you. We will abuse you. And then we will toss you aside. She's a dead woman walking. If she'll get drunk and get on Instagram on somebody else's page and talk like this, do you imagine what she says within the police department with other officers? So now they're thinking if she'll yap, she'll yap. So we need to worry about that. We'll never protect you. We'll never choose you. And you are not safe with us.
Well, somebody had to say it. Somebody had to say it. I want you to pay attention to what she said. She said they would never choose you, and when they're done, it's going to toss you to the side. Basically, isn't that what Dr. Neely Fuller said about the tools of wanton supremacy? When they're done with the tools, what do? They break them. Okay, see, these people don't get it. See, the thing is, it's no different than what I tell you about the raccoons. Okay, the raccoons, I don't know till this day how they don't see what happens to all the other raccoons before them. How they all got used and then discarded when they messed up or they went against the mission, or they just did the least little thing, or just when they flat out got tired of them or didn't need them anymore because somebody else came along or whatever. I don't see how they don't see the foreshadowing or the writing on the wall. But it's because they suffer from cognitive dissonance. It is because they think it's not going to be me. If I just be a good boy or a good girl, they're not going to turn on me. If I just lick those boots until they're shiny. If I just bow down and keep kissing the ring, is that what they think? Yeah, it's what they think. And the same goes for some of these Mexicans and Latinas, okay, who want to have a closeness to whiteness. They don't realize you're never going to be viewed as one of them. And here's the thing. Let's think about it, okay? Let's think about it. We've seen how ICE is treating these people, okay? I mean, how does it even make a bit of sense? Okay, how does it make a bit of sense? Let's talk about some of the Mexicans killed by the police, okay? Isaiah Sanchez Barbosa, 2025, and I'm doing recent ones, 2025. A 31-year-old Mexican citizen fatally shot by a U.S. Border Patrol agent December 11th of 2025. Then Silverio Vallegos Gonzalez in 2025, 38-year-old Mexican cook and father of two, shot and killed by a federal immigration agent during a traffic stop, September the 12th of 2025. Franklin Park, Illinois. Herbert Sanchez Dominguez, 2026, 34-year-old Mexican husband and father who died on January 14th, 2026, while in ICE custody. Jose Guadalupe Ramos Solano, 2026, died March 25th of 2026 after being found unconscious in the Adelanto ICE Processing Center in California. Okay, a lot of them dying in ICE custody, some killed by the police and other things. Antonio Zambrano Montes, 2015. Rubio Garcia Villapando, 2015. Ernesto Avia. I could go on and on is all I'm saying. Okay, I could go on and on is all I'm saying. So they need to wake the hell up. Okay, and stop thinking that Black people are your enemy, because we're not thinking about you until you're doing something to bother us. Other than that, we're not out here trying to hate on you. We're not going around here just trying to keep up mess, being your business, trying to call ICE on you, trying to get you to do contracted work, and then to keep from paying you calling ICE. We're not the ones doing that. Okay, so save your angst for the people that have angst for you. How about that? Okay, that's all I'm saying. I'm so sick of it. And this goes for the Africans too. Okay, let's talk about it. Or any Black immigrant who doesn't like African Americans. First of all of y'all collectively bite off of us, our culture, try to talk like us, walk like us, dress like us, swag like us, because we got the swag. And that's just what it is. Okay, get mad all you want, but it's the truth. Okay, all these immigrants copy us. Everybody does. That's a fact. Worldwide. Ain't no lie. It's told. But here's the thing. When you have these Africans or Black immigrants who come here, then when something happens to them, what the police try to do and the news media, they try to lump them all in with us, and they'll say a Black person or a Black male, and they know darn well it's a Jamaican, it's an African, whoever. They know that, okay? But they'll still call them Black just to add that in with us to make us look bad, but not to make it look like they're doing something or they're committing all these crimes too. But that's just what it is. Okay, let's keep it 100. But also, speaking of the young Latino man or Hispanic man that was found hanging just a week or so ago that I reported on as well, let's not forget about Cal Basinga. Okay, the man who they said in the news reports on February of 2026, 21-year-old Cal Basinga was a young black man. That's how they described him on social media, but he was really African. Not told y'all that because the last name Basinga, okay, that's a European name or an English name, but it's also used by Africans. So I already knew he was African, okay? You're not going to find anybody that looks like me whose last name is Basinga unless they married somebody 9 times out of 10. So with that all being said, I did a little research, come to find out that his family is from Uganda, okay? Clearly African. Now, that all being said, while some social media commentary initially speculated on his background in the context of American racial issues, others identified him as Ugandan, specifically mentioning his parents arrived from Uganda following his death. Okay, so all I'm saying is, well, anybody that's an immigrant coming here, I don't care what you've been told or what you heard, judge people by their character. Judge people by your own personal interactions with them. There are good black people. There are bad black people. There are thugs in black people, and there are black people who will absolutely give you the shirt off of their backs. Okay? And that goes with all races across the board. There's good white folk. There's good Jewish folk. There's good Mexican. Everybody has good in them or in their people, but they also have bad in their people. So I find it interesting that when black people, one of us does something nefarious, they want to paint all black people with the same brush. But when it's anybody else, oh, it's that person did this, that one over there did this. But with us, it's all of us. Yeah, I beg to differ. Okay, so miss me with the crap. And she's sitting up there talking trash about us and how she hates us. I think all of her cases need to be reviewed. Okay, that lady who said all that stuff, that hateful stuff, that officer, a former officer, because she's been fired, and I hope she doesn't get rehired anywhere. Okay, but all of her cases where she had someone arrested or whatever, a black person, she needs to have those cases need to be reviewed, in my opinion. That's just what I think about it. Okay, now, that all being said, let's continue. So the next thing I want to talk about is MAGA. You know, has anybody thought about what's going to happen for them when Trump's no longer in office? Oh, what shall they do? Oh, whither shall they go? Okay, or if he gets impeached or taken out of office by the 25th Amendment or anything, what are they going to do? You see, I want y'all to pay attention to something because, you know, I was thinking about these cults. You see, if we really want to know what is going to eventually happen to MAGA, well, all we have to do is look at the past, because the past shows a pattern of what happens within cults. Okay, so let's talk about it. As we see, first we're going to talk about Jim Jones. Look, Trump is the epitome of Jim Jones. His MAGA minions have all drank the Kool-Aid, sadly. Okay, they've all drank this Kool-Aid. All right, so let's talk about Jim Jones. This nefarious cult leader was able to get people to follow him to a whole nother country. And the reason being is because he convinced them that the United States was out to get them. Okay, now he ran game on them. He ran game on them for about 20 years. I think his ministry started somewhere in the late 50s. Okay, so by the 70s, he had them all hook, line, and sinker. Okay, he had them hook, line, and sinker. And he basically had them thinking, hold on, beloveds. Hold on, I'm pulling up my receipt real quick. Okay, now, with that all being said, so Jim Jones moved people, the People's Temple, okay, to Guyana, South Africa in 1977. All right, now, why did he do this? It was primarily to escape immense media scrutiny, as well as government investigations into alleged abuse and financial fraud, which had him mounting into paranoia. Okay, so basically he told the people the establishment's coming after us. Okay, and he wanted to keep his power and just fool these people into leaving. They probably didn't know half of the fraudulent activities he was allegedly involved in. Okay, so he aimed to establish a secluded social utopia named Jonestown. And this is where he could manipulate them without outside interference. This is where he could isolate them from their family, friends, or anyone that was in their ear or trying to tell them, that he was up to no good or trying to scrutinize him in any way. Okay? And so there was government investigations and all of this. Now, as I said, he had about 900 of these people that moved right alongside with him. And sadly for them, well, they literally drank the Kool-Aid. Some of them voluntarily drank it. Some of them were forced at gunpoint to drink it. And I know this because of a documentary that I saw on it where witnesses who survived talked about it. One man said that his wife and child died. They perished. He at the last minute ran or fled, tried to get away, and he did. But a lot of these people were forced. Okay, but here's the thing. Not just Jim Jones. I mean, there's many of them. Okay, there's many of these nefarious cult leaders. Let's take Harold Camping, for example. Harold Camping is another one. Now, this one, he was a Christian radio host who famously predicted the rapture would occur on May the 21st of 2011. Did the rapture occur on May the 21st of 2011? No, it didn't. Okay. The day after, or after the day passed without incident, he revised his prediction to October the 21st. Oh, my bad, y'all. It wasn't supposed to happen on May the 21st of 2011. It's going to happen October 21st, 2011. Okay. That's what he did. Claiming a spiritual judgment occurred. Okay. And then his campaign cost nearly $100 million, and he led many followers to spend their life savings all in anticipation. So sad. People literally believe this. It never came true. And then you had Dorothy Martin, who's one of my favorites to read about. Okay, Dorothy Martin. Let's talk about it. Now, this lady was a whole kook, in my opinion. Okay, the leader of a 1950s Chicago-based group who claimed aliens. Her people were called the Seekers. Okay, they claimed that aliens from the planet Clarion had told her a massive flood was going to destroy the U.S. West Coast on December 21st, again with the number 21, because she's saying the 21st, and the other guy, Campling, said the 21st. Even when he changed the date, it was still on the 21st. I don't know what that's all about. I'll have to look into it. But anyway, she said this flood was going to happen December 21st of 1954. Her case became the subject of the famous psychological study When Prophecy Fails, which explored how followers deal with cognitive dissonance. Okay, now she got all of these people to get prepared for it. Look at them, all outside waiting. All of them selling up things that they know they're going to need later. Okay, and it was just all a whole load of BS. It was all a load of BS. Now, let me share my screen for just a second. Now, that all being said, one of the people said that he had been struggling. Okay, where am I going to start? Okay, then he went aside with Charles Lafayette, told him he was struggling with a lack of faith and begged Lafayette to reassure him. Lafayette did so, responding with a long monologue about the need to stay committed, saying, "I've given up just about everything," he declared, according to Riken. "I've cut every bridge. I've turned my back on the world. I can't afford to doubt. I have to believe. And there isn't any other truth." Now, Riken then turned to the group, proclaiming his doubts were gone and his faith was restored. Reassured, Martin brightened and began frantically writing what would become her Christmas message. Martin's despair, Lafayette's defiant affirmation of belief, and the Christmas message were all driven by Riken, Kelly concluded. Now, with that all been said, this was a follower who started feeling like, this ain't sounding right. Stuff's not coming to fruition. She's telling us one thing and another is happening. I'm not really feeling like I have the faith anymore. And only to be told to keep on believing, hold on for hope, no matter what. Don't let go. Well, here's the thing. You see, the person who said that I can't let go, I've given up too much. This is why. They don't want to back down. This is why you can tell MAGA till you're blue in the face, or till they're blue in the face. You could tell them that Trump's lying, that Trump's in the Epstein files over 1 million times, more than Harry Potter's in the Harry Potter series collectively. You can tell them that Trump has credible accusations against him. You can tell them that Trump has paid off this and that. You can tell them whatever. But they're not going to listen to you because they've already become too invested. Now they don't want to look like fools, which they clearly are, in my opinion. But they don't want to look like fools, and they don't want to be deemed as wrong, and they don't want to admit that they were wrong. And really to think that you were absolutely so wrong for so long and so loud and proud about being wrong when you have spent all this money, you know, when you've just done all these different things, you've been all over social media defending this person, you just can't go back. So what happens when it all comes crumbling down? Well, some of these people will just fade into obscurity. Some of them, they'll just quietly go, you know, tiptoe on through, you know, the people in church holding up their one finger when they need to be excused. That's what they'll do. They'll just tiptoe on out of here and they won't say anything else about it. It'll just be silence. Okay? If Trump gets exposed further, if the truth really comes out and is so in their face, like if Trump gets arrested or something like that, where they just can't deny it any longer, even then they'll try to deny it. They'll say it's a witch hunt. They'll say it's the Democrats. They're trying to put Trump in jail. They should be arresting Obama and Biden. What about them? Then they'll start the whataboutisms. But the bottom line is it's going to fall eventually because these cults always do. Are there any long-lasting cults still around? They're not. Because they all fall, usually when the leader falls. Okay, and sometimes before the leader falls. Most of them will still stick around holding on for hope, but the ones who start to wise up, and here's the thing, here's how you know which ones will stick around. The ones who've given so much and invested so much time and effort, money or whatever, you know, these people are sending Donald Trump money, I'm sure. They're buying those ugly gold sneakers that he sells. They're buying those Bibles that he holds upside down when he pretends to read them. They're buying all of that stuff, the MAGA hats, t-shirts, and all of these things. They've spent money traveling to and fro to go to his rallies to support and all of this, to hear every word because they hold on to every word, even though they're all lies, in my opinion. But with that all being said, those who have spent the most time and money, they will continue to hold on. Those who didn't spend so much, they'll just move on. They'll just go on about their business because they feel like they're just cut their losses. But some of them can't. It kind of reminds me, if you think about it, like when you go to the casino. When you go to the casino and you see someone gambling, and the person's losing and they've lost thousands at this point. And you're thinking, why don't you just stop? Quit while you're ahead. But they've lost so much, they feel like they have to keep going to try to win back what they already lost. Whereas somebody like me, first of all, I don't lose at the casino ever. But also when I win, I know when to stop. When I win, like for example, if I place a $20 bet and I win like $200 or $300, I'm out. Why am I going to keep going so I can lose it all back? Because I know the golden rule. And the golden rule is the house always wins. And you see, that's what cult members don't realize. The house always wins. Who's the house? Well, the leader. The leader is the one that's winning. Yeah, they really getting out of it. The leader is just telling them stuff they want to hear. The leader is just running game on them, manipulating them and making fools of them, and sometimes even preying upon them with predatory actions that could be sexual, that could be spiritual, physical, monetary, all of these things. So that is the person that's always winning, but the cult members, they're not really getting anything except used and abused and grifted 9 times out of the 10. But see, you have to ask yourself, what type of people fall for the okie doke and suffer from cognitive dissonance when it comes to these things? It is the people that really don't have much going on in their lives. It is the people that are gullible. It is the people that are likely alone and just don't feel like they want to, like they belong anywhere, like they don't fit in, because when they join this cult, now it's like they have a family. And there was even an experiment done one time where they had these people that didn't even know each other, but they put them in 2 different groups. And before you know it, they told this one group about the other group, bad things about them. And then they told that group bad things about them. And before you know it, people that didn't even know each other previously were all tag teaming like their family, going against those people. Okay, it's called group think. It's like a mob mentality. It's almost like when it's no different than, in fact, when Jane Elliott, Jane Elliott, the lady that's always going around teaching about racism. It's no different than when she had like her second grade class years ago, like over probably 40 years ago now, when she had her second grade class divided with the blue eyes on one side and the brown eyes on the other. And then before she knew it, the kids with the blue eyes were talking down to the kids with the brown eyes, or vice versa. But one group was talking down on the others because they thought they were better. Okay? So this is easily what happens. And especially when you have people who just have low self-esteem, just really don't have a big support base and feel isolated, and they feel a need to belong. Okay, they have no self-identity. In fact, they suffer from an identity crisis in many cases, and then so the cult becomes their identity, and they don't want to let go of that. They want to hold on to it for their life. Please pay attention. Okay, that's what they want to do. Now, why do people cling to false beliefs? Let's talk about it. From cults to politics, people often defend their group's beliefs in the face of clear contradictions. So, Leon Festinger actually did a video about this. It's about 5 minutes long, but he tells you why people go to, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he's the one that came up with, there was some theory. I've seen his name before. I'm going to think about it in a second, but I'm going to go to this video in the meantime. There's some theory that I'm pretty sure he came up with. Okay, so let's go to the footage, and I'm going to use an overlay. Okay, here we go.
Lengths to preserve their identities. From cults to politics, people often defend their group's beliefs in the face of clear contradictions. One such story started with Dorothy Martin. Dorothy was, in many respects, an ordinary Chicago resident, except she claimed that she could communicate with aliens from the planet Clarion. Yes, aliens. And from them, she apparently learned that an annihilating flood was going to hit the West Coast. But fortunately, a visitor from outer space would visit the true believers at midnight on December 21st to rescue her and other members of this cult and take them to a waiting spacecraft to escape the flood. Overjoyed by the offer of salvation, Dorothy spread the news, which attracted believers to join her cult known as the Seekers. Bound together in their stronghold, the Seekers waited patiently as the clock ticked towards midnight. But at midnight, nothing happened. Someone pointed to another clock that read 11:55 p.m. Everyone realized it must not yet be midnight. But as the time continued to tick down, no aliens arrived. As it passed midnight, the group sat in stunned silence. Hours passed by. Then something astonishing happened. At 4:45 a.m., Dorothy conveyed a new message from the aliens. Actually, our hopes were so strong tonight that God saved the world for us. Rejoicing, the Seekers cheered, believing that they had, through their faith, spared the future of humanity. Meanwhile, in the back of the room, unknown to the Seekers, was Leon Festinger, a social psychologist who was observing the group's response to this most peculiar evening.
You might expect that after their prophecy failed, these cult members would want to slink into obscurity due to shame. But if anything, they did the exact opposite. They wanted to proselytize and tell other people about how their beliefs had saved the world from catastrophe. This was one of the key studies that Festinger used to help explain cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is what happens when people with a strong belief system or shared sense of identity find it challenged by reality in some dramatic.
So let me say this. First off, D Major says cults still around, MLMs in some religions, in my opinion. Likely so, beloved. Thank you for your contribution to the channel and your insight to the topic. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. So I told you all that this guy, Leon Festinger, came up with some theory. Yeah, 1957, he wrote a book, A Theory of Cognitive Dissonance. Okay, where he introduced the theory that people experience psychological discomfort, which is dissonance, when holding conflicting beliefs, values, or attitudes, or when their behavior contradicts their beliefs, and are motivated to reduce this tension by changing their thoughts or behaviors to restore consistency. Okay, so he basically came up with the theory of cognitive dissonance. Okay, I knew he was important for something, but let's continue.
Way. For truly committed believers, it's often much easier to cling to the belief system and find ways to rationalize it or justify it than it is to give up that identity or move from beyond it. It isn't just commitment, though, that matters. It is fundamentally about social support. An individual person who has their belief contradicted might be more willing to update their beliefs in light of new evidence. But when you're surrounded by group members who are also committed to that belief and are also engaged in explaining away and rationalizing some evidence that contradicts the belief, it is much easier for people to sustain that shared sense of reality. In fact, as Festinger said, if more and more people believe something to be true, then in fact, it is true.
And cults are obviously a pretty extreme example. Most of us are fortunate not to actually belong to a cult. And yet, similar dynamics do play out in all of our lives. The world is such a complicated place. We can't make sense of it just on our own. We have to look to other people to figure out what's right and wrong, what's a rational response, what's actually happening. And the people we look to are those we trust. And the people we tend to trust the most are the people in the groups that we belong to. Often this is a very good thing, but it can have consequences as well of a less good kind, including on the social media platforms that now dominate our lives.
We now live in an attention economy. Roughly 4 billion people are on social media. And one study found that the average social media user scrolls through 300 feet of their news feed each day. That means if you have a smartphone that's 6 inches tall, you're flipping through it 600 times in a day, which is the height of the Statue of Liberty. Now, in that type of environment, everybody's competing for your attention. When we've analyzed millions of messages on social media, we found that moral emotional words like shame and hatred are more likely to capture your attention, and they're also more likely to go viral. For each word you use like that in a message, it's 15% more likely to get shared. Now, that might seem like a good thing, but when we dug into our data, what we found is that when people were using that language about contentious political topics, it was getting shared by like-minded people, but it was no longer getting shared by people who disagreed with them. And so it was creating the appearance of an echo chamber where you were only getting engagement from people who already agreed with you. People who disagreed with you now saw you as more closed-minded and were less willing to think of you as somebody who they'd want to interact with. And so we have to be very careful about how we use this language because it's a true double-edged sword.
So there are 3 key lessons here. First, be aware of how your own attention is being manipulated by people who use this sort of language on social media. We don't have to reward politicians and pundits who speak to us this way. Secondly, be aware of your own language and how it affects others. Our research suggests that when you use this sort of moral emotional language, it alienates the people who most disagree with you. And third, although we're fortunate, most of us, not to belong to cults, the groups we belong to can become insular and echo chamber-like, and we should work hard to avoid that.
All right, so very interesting presentation, if I might say so myself. So with that all being said, listen, I find it interesting that Ashkan, hold on, where's that comment? I find it very interesting. Hold on, let me find Ashkan's comment. It says, Ashkan said, Queen, bless you. You're not a gambler. I come from a long line of gamblers. Not that he said bless you. Y'all know when Black people, when we say bless your heart, Y'all know what we're meaning when we say that. That's what Ashkan just did to the queen. He just blessed my heart. No shade, but all shade. He said, Queen, you're not a gambler. I come from a long line of gamblers. I'm really not. I have to agree with you, beloved. I mean, I go to the casino once every 5 or 6 years, probably even less than more than that. I mean, less than that, or longer than that. Let me think. When's the last time I went? I think the last time I went to the casino was 2011. So you're right. Okay. You're absolutely right. It only went then because I was out of town visiting my sister and her husband, and they live like 25 minutes across the bridge from a casino. But in my lifetime, I've probably gone to a casino about 5 times, and I always win, is all I'm saying. And that's because I have discernment. Okay? That's because I have discernment. I know when to stop. All right? And so that all being said, thanks, Ashka, for exposing me, okay, in my non-habitual gambling habit. Reggie said, I've been planning to go play bingo for at least 3 years, and I love bingo. Not 3 years. Trisha said, you've only been once, okay? We the people said, I don't gamble. Pensilola said, I'm watching. Okay, so anyway, listen, I love you all to life. I'm sorry, I'm about to close that. We didn't even talk about David. Hold on. Y'all know I'm good at forgetting about stuff, and I'm ready to roll out of here. Okay, so listen, we're going to get this update from TMZ about David. This is a bombshell. Y'all don't want to miss it. Okay, y'all don't want to miss it. Hold on here. I'm covering all aspects. Please pay attention. We're talking about the war, politics, the economics. We're talking about the missing scientists. We're gossiping about these celebrities and their nefariousness. Okay, and we're just doing it all on this channel. Please pay attention.
Now I've got a timeline. So in November, which is September, well, at least a little more than 2 months after, actually 2.5 months, we contacted a source connected to the medical examiner. And what we were told was that they could not determine the cause of death, and they may never be able to determine cause of death. In December, that's when they ruled it a homicide. So we now know the time frame. So we're told 2.5 months after her body's discovered that they haven't determined it and may never. And then the next month, they call it a homicide definitively, but the support for that is qualified with the word may. And I found that interesting, but I think that, the defense is going to just grill the medical examiner and the police department and ask, what changed? Why did you have such trouble for 2.5 months? And then a month later, you call it a homicide, but you can't definitively say she was stabbed. So
well,
it's
where
like,
in the timeline was it when you reported specifically LAPD said, we're not even sure a crime was committed? I mean, that was a position of the LAPD.
Early on. Yeah, early on.
Early on, they said, we're not sure a crime was committed. Then you have the inordinate amount of time. By the way, also, kudos to you because you reported and you would not be backed down about the fingers. That was in the coroner's report, that the fingers were, what I think the term was, waterlogged.
Yeah, they did not. They said our report was wrong.
Yes, said the report was wrong. They also said it was an investigative grand jury. Well, they stood up in court, they, meaning Beth, stood up in court and said, not one, not two, 3 grand juries has seen evidence in this case. So all of you people who kept saying investigative grand juries, sorry to tell you, that was not, I told you in real time that was nonsense. It's still nonsense. And it will continue to be nonsense, as you will see as this case unfolds. Number 3, the idea that they found and they announced not once, not twice, but 3 times in court, child porn. What was the purpose of the child porn? He's not charged with that. They announced wiretaps. They announced child porn. There was a singular purpose to that. Can you guess what that was?
Dirtying him up.
Of course, because they're trying to push back because the defense did not waive time. The defense said, we're ready, get your ducks in order. And who, by the way, as we discussed last week, who was it that's trying to garner more time right now? It's not the defense, it's the prosecution.
Yeah, because, help me out here. If they would have gone to the grand jury and gotten an indictment, there would be no preliminary hearing. So given that they had 3 grand juries, why didn't they just go that route rather than doing what they did, to arrest him and then charge him?
One bag, infinite possibilities. Kate Spade.
ChatGPT, can I make...
This part is pure speculation. I don't think well, let me break this up. It's not pure speculation. Nobody has definitively given an explanation for this because, as I told you last episode, the LAPD called the DA's bluff. I don't care what the DA says about them being in lockstep. That's nonsense.
Yeah, they quadrupled down on me on that and said you were wrong.
Correct. And they've only got one problem. If that was wrong, what was the explanation? Remember, you and I talked offline about what is the legal strategy for having the LAPD arrest somebody without a warrant or without a criminal complaint or an indictment.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but I asked that 3 times and they would not tell me.
Of course.
Go on.
Because there isn't, it's so ludicrous on its face that they just say it enough to think that people are going to just unflinchingly accept it. Oh, they're in lockstep. We always do this. They don't always do this. They don't arrest people on a Thursday after an 8-month investigation without a complaint and without an indictment. Unheard of. And it was LAPD pushing back and calling the DA's bluff in this case, which is also why they never asked for an indictment. And they had not 1, but 2, but 3 grand juries, which they could have done. And as everybody knows, the old saw, you can get a grand jury to indict anybody. They weren't ready. LAPD called their bluff. No amount of retro kind of rewriting of history is going to do that. And we will see what happens, because when is the preliminary hearing set for?
May 1st.
Yeah. You think that's happening?
Yes. I think the defense is going to demand it, and they have a right to it.
Right. So, and what do you think the prosecution's going to do?
They're going to try to get a delay, but I think the judge is not going to give them a delay. I mean, they have a right to this. And I think the defense is going to stay with it. I really do. So you didn't answer my question. Why didn't they just get a grand jury indictment? They would have avoided all of this.
Because then that would have exposed them to what's called a Penal Code Section 995 motion to dismiss. On a 995 motion to dismiss, you are limited, if you're the prosecution, to the 4 corners of the indictment. Just like on a 995 from a preliminary hearing, you're limited to the record at the preliminary hearing. I am convinced, and I haven't seen anything to dissuade me, that they felt that based on what they put in front of a grand jury, that even though they would get an indictment, because grand juries very rarely reject that, although in the Central District federally, in the last 3 months, a lot of these ICE protests, the grand jury hasn't indicted. But in a case like this, they would have gotten an indictment, but then they would have been locked in to that record, and a judge would have been forced to make a decision as to whether there was enough evidence to have held this person.
So the evidence they show is that she sent him a threatening text to expose their relationship. She goes to his house apparently that same day on April 23rd, 2025, and is never seen again. And the coroner's report shows that there appeared to be 2 stab wounds. Isn't that enough?
For probable cause?
Yeah.
It's enough to get you for probable cause that it's a homicide. It's not enough to get you to probable cause that he's the person connected to it.
So what do they have to show then in a prelim? Because doesn't the judge at the prelim have to do the same thing?
Correct. And that's why they don't want to do this by way of a prelim. That's why they didn't.
But then
file.
but they would have to do a prelim if they went the route they did, which was to charge him. So either way,
because they would have if they were in lockstep. You're right. If they were ready to do a prelim, they would have filed a criminal complaint, which requires a probable cause proceeding, and that would be a preliminary hearing normally, to get them to Superior Court bound over for trial. They weren't ready to file a criminal complaint. They did not want to trigger the 10 days for the preliminary hearing.
I don't think they thought the defense would do that.
They never thought ever. They thought coming on the heels, mind you, major crimes, same unit in the DA's office, just had not one but two lawyers in the Nick Reiner case, both ask for more time. So coming on the heels of that, you're kind of reflexive. If you're the DA, you're thinking, oh, the defense is going to come in. We're going to dump 40 terabytes of information on them. They're going to say, we can't be ready, Your Honor. We need more time. We'll waive time. Give us 2 more months. Then they would have backfilled their case at that point, hoping that maybe he would say something stupid while he's in the 77th Street station, or that he would have made a phone call and said something stupid that would have been used as an admission that would tie him to the complaint.
All right, y'all heard what they said. I mean, this is going to be interesting to see how this turns out. You know, I would love to go to this trial. I just might pop up. Okay, I just might have to pop up. Now, earlier, I believe it was Reggie that asked me earlier about Carmelo Anthony. And it took me a second because I was in the zone with this live. It took me a second to figure out what you were talking about. I'm like, Carmelo Anthony? What happened to him? But you're talking about Carmelo Anthony, the teen, 17-year-old from Frisco, Texas, who had the stabbing incident. Well, his trial is set to start June the 1st. Okay, his trial is set to start June the 1st. So I'm definitely waiting for that. Everybody keep their fingers crossed, and let's hope that this young man gets justice, okay, and doesn't get railroaded, which is what it's looking like they're trying to do. Okay? With that all being said, hold on. Pencillo said, Queen, if you do, I'm supporting. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Okay, so listen, I love you all to life. I want to thank you all for tuning in. We'll be right back at it tomorrow, okay? Don't miss the morning, your morning wake-up call, because we're going to be getting into the latest updates on everything that we've been previously discussing, and then some more news. Okay, and I have something for you all tomorrow about Trump did up and Melania, which I didn't get into today because, you know, I'm ready to go. It's already an hour and a half. I want to try to keep these lives under 2 hours, okay, for the people who miss it and then have to come back and watch. Okay, so with that being said, I love you all to life. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece. This time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got